Okay, hi, and welcome back to the Coaching Mentor. So today I'm going to put my first session on this on my YouTube channel. Today's session is going to be looking at playing out from the back, and it's going to be a session based around pictures. And this is a way of coaching in which we're going to try and give the players 3 pictures to look for, and we're going to see if we can, throughout the session, how successfully can we go from a unopposed practice into as close to a game, developing those players and hopefully recognizing those particular pictures which we're trying to produce. The session I'm going to put on is broken into 3 parts. It's based around 12 players, and obviously you will have to tweak and amend this depending on your numbers, focusing mainly on the centre back choices that they might have when the ball is played to them from the goalkeeper. And then obviously working around the other players like your fullbacks, your wide players, your midfield players, where they would go to provide those options, and then looking to play from there. Okay, so the first part of the practice, as you can see, I've got 2 goalkeepers in the practice, obviously a football each here, my 2 centre backs either side, okay, my fullbacks and wide players, and then in here I've got 2 centre mids starting on a cone. Okay, at the top I've got, you can have either cone gates or maybe some pop-up nets for them to finish the practice in. Okay, so for this particular one, picture 1 might follow a case simply of my centre back comes into the starting position, my fullback and my wide players are slightly high, as we see. Same on the opposite side, and they're going to go through this movement as the goalkeeper plays to the centre back. Same on the other side. My fullbacks start dropping to an angle to receive. My holding midfield players again would go into positions that they're looking to receive as if they're going to play off the centre back. My opposite centre mids here, they might take a slightly higher position, going to look to receive, and my wide players might stay nice and wide. And picture 1 is dead simple. He will play out to the fullback, who will then play up the line to the wide player, who can then dribble between the cone gates or finish into the small net. And we would have that going on the same side over here. Just a nice simple passing pattern for them to try and learn. Now, if you're working with players that are locked into position, then they would just return to the start places, and you may repeat the picture, say, around 5 times. If you're still working at a younger age group where everyone is playing everywhere, then players would just swap. This midfielder would come in, he would go to the fullback, he would become the wide player, he would become the holding mid, he would become the top midfield player. And you would repeat, and people would carousel on until eventually everybody's had a go at the picture a couple of times before you move on to the next picture. Okay, so picture 2 in this particular practice is a very similar, in that the goalkeeper will play to the centre back, and as that's playing, my movement that happened in picture 1 continues to happen. So you'll move. The yellows would do exactly the same on the opposite side of the board, so that I've got my 12 all working. But this time my centre back will play in to the 6, who just for this particular picture will then play first time out to the 2, who will then play into the 7, who will then again either dribble through or pass into the net. And again, locked in, they will just return to start positions or rotate round if you're again working everybody in everybody to play every position. Okay, and picture 3 for this, again, when the ball's rolled to the centre back, I'll have my 6 coming in here looking for the ball, my 7 and my 2 dropping in, my 8 going in, but this time I would have my centre back maybe fire the ball in to the number 8, who again I might bounce off either side, or I might get him just to turn and play into the net, play to the 7 and dribble through, depending on what you want for your picture. Again, you pick the pictures and what you're looking to work for. Same going on the opposite side. 4 would play in, 6 would drop in, fire into the 8, who would then, again, whatever your picture entails, do they pop it off? Do they receive on the front foot and play forward? But again, as the coach, you would pick the pictures that you're looking to work on. Okay, your next practice, which we will call a skill, is we're going with a 4v4v4. Okay, my outside players are acting as neutrals. Okay, and then we have a 4v4 going on in the middle. So we're obviously looking at possession, and again, the playing out from the back thing kind of works. You might want to make it directional, which is an option. So I would have mine be a goalkeeper and then an attacking player, and this team trying to play that way, or a goalkeeper and an attacking player, the yellows trying to play this way. Or you might just allow them to use the neutrals as possible. And in the practice, again, we are looking at, can we get the pictures out? So for example, if number 4, if the red team had possession, and in this practice my number 5 drops into the space created to receive, my number 2 in this particular pattern might go away, 7 would play in replicating possibly the goalkeeper from the previous practice. He opens out and then he recognizes to play into here, which is first part of picture 1, who then he manages to play into here. So fullback, centre back, wide player, who then plays into the target, which then we're looking at, we've managed to get picture 1 out. And then obviously the other way might be something along the line of 8 drops into the centre back position, 9 comes out, but 5 has come across into that higher position for picture 3, and obviously this can move along, and he's played in under pressure, maybe he's bounced off and played into the wide player to play in, which might be picture 2 that you looked at. So within this scenario, teams are keeping possession in a 4v4 with 4 outside players, and we're looking at seeing, can the players recognize those particular pictures and patterns that we looked at in the first part of the practice. And again, like I say, you might have all 4 neutrals working with all 4. You might make it directional, so that the width would have to come from the central players wider, which would open up balls through, passes through into the middle. Again, yours to play around with as the coach to see how you would best get this out of for your players. Okay, and the final part of the practice, we would go into a small-sided game, obviously 6v6. And again, how you would set your team up, obviously, is again up to yourself as the coach. Obviously, I'd have my centre-back, my full-back in this, maybe as a bit of a full-back, centre-back kind of role. Wide player might be wide / centre mid. He might be the high player playing in mid. So things like that. And again, we're looking at, can we get them pictures out? And in this little practice here, 2 might drop in as a centre-back. 7 comes high, comes over, stays out. 8 comes in, working on this side of the pitch to see if we can get that picture out. We'll play in there. 8 comes in, straight out. We're trying to kind of replicate possibly their picture 2 out to the wide player. Can we recognise that inside the game to help players realise when these opportunities have presented themselves to play these different pictures, working with a team to try and see how often can we get this particular pattern out, so that players then take hopefully this into a game to recognise when they're playing on a Saturday, Sunday, Wednesday, whenever it is, wherever their opponents are, this happens, and the centre back has then realised there's picture 3 straight there into the high midfield player without having to worry, which might then be a link, if that was part of your picture, into the 2 in behind with the run. And players would then hopefully recognise that going in. So we would work for the last part of this session in a small-sided game, seeing if players can recognise, and going in, praising, talking about what they've done, what they've recognised, and possibly, again, if they haven't taken the option to play that picture, again, not rather than going in with just, why didn't you do that? You know, you should have had seen this picture was on. Again, why did they not see it? Why did they not play it? Might be an understanding as well, of helping them to understand the reason for this rather than this. If they play that picture, and as the coach, I might want them to play that picture though, because that's the more dangerous ball. Again, would I go in and coach that he took this simple safe option, which still allows them to defend a bit better when that more dangerous option was on. So again, as the coach, just go in, work with your players on whatever the pictures are you were looking for. When they've got them out, can we reinforce that? When they didn't get them out, can we kind of maybe find out why they didn't get them out? What was their reason for that decision behind it? And kind of help them to then maybe next time that's on, instead of taking that one, the next time they make that decision. Or if this is screened off here, instead of trying to force that, he has took that decision to play that one, which is then open that for that one, which again might be picture one, what you were working on. So that's just a session, a little simple session put together, trying to work on the three picture method within your session. So we've gone from an unopposed session into a skilled session with our position, into a game type practice, trying to build on those three things from the outset right the way through. Remember, the things that we're looking for within this session is obviously timing of movement. So I would want the timing of movement of this player, of this player, of this player from this pass, not from when he receives. So if he removes once he's got the ball, is that too late? Does he move too early though? Again, as a coach, this is your job to recognise timing of movement, type of pass, weight of pass, all these kind of simple things. And again, decisions when they receive these footballs and passes in. Does he make a good decision to bounce it? Does he bounce it when he might have been able to just turn and drive through? So all these different things we're looking at within the session to try and work and understand, get these players to understand and recognise the different pictures within the practice. Okay, so that's a simple session on trying to play out from the back, as I said, working in pictures. Remember, as coaches, you know your players, so adapt as you see fit. Numbers can also be adapted to that. The pictures you're working on, again, the area of the pitch you're working on, it can all be adapted, and within that model of the picture pattern, the skill bit, and the small-sided game at the end, lots of ways that can be adapted to what you have available area-wise. It fits into most areas of the pitch. It's a good little session. Just try and get yourself understanding of how to work pictures. As I say, with your coaching points of your type of pass, your timing of your movement, how your players receive, the decision they make when they receive the ball, movement of the second and third player in the picture. The players who don't receive the ball, it's really important to make sure that we don't forget them, because we want them to move realistically as they would on a game. The high midfield player who doesn't come into a picture till the third picture might be getting a bit lazy in the first or second pictures. So again, as a coach, we need them to work as they would realistically in a game. Centre backs as well, because they may just get it and think, oh, I'm just going to get it and pass off again. But again, it's us on coaches to keep the tempo, keep them playing as they would realistically. It's really important to remember we want the realism in the practice because it is unimposed. You might want to put, if you had extra players, you might put passive pressure on the centre backs passing in. You might put passive pressure on the fullback or the midfielders. However, it's just an option, an idea on how you might work your numbers. You might have more players moving. You might add in a centre forward as the target rather than goals or cones. Different ideas on how you might adapt that if you had more players. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, and I will be putting more content and sessions on here just to try and help. Any questions, please fire them in below, and I would do my best to answer them in future videos. Thank you.